So, if you saw my last unholy rant where I talked about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, I said in that video that I only couldn't say that was the worst chainsaw movie because they kept making more. And they made more that was worse. So, guess what? This is one of them. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. This technically was made in 1994. It was originally called The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was written and directed by Kim Henkel, who co wrote the original. What the fuck? Once again, the second movie had Tobe Hooper, and this movie has the co writer of the original. Even they can't get a sequel right. And the previous sequels for some reason are acknowledged in the opening like monologue, which is weird though. I know they said it in a jokingly way of previous lesser events, and they were trying to joke because they recognize that the sequels aren't as good. But do they forget that Leatherface was killed in part two? How in the blue hell can this be connected? How can the second movie have existed when Leatherface is alive and well in this movie? Dumbasses! This film was screened for audiences in 1995, but they said it sucked, so it was shelved by the studios. Makes sense. 2 years later, it was recut and re-released because of our main actors. They ended up becoming big stars. Very big Hollywood stars, but we'll get to both of them in a minute. The plot is we follow four teenagers at the very beginning. They leave their senior prom because Barry and Heather get into an argument. Barry apparently was cheating on Heather, getting a blowjob by some girl. Good job, Barry. If you're going to cheat on your girl, which I don't recommend, I don't endorse at all. But if you're going to do it, probably don't do it at an event with a whole bunch of your friends and your girlfriend there as well. Dumbass. So they're arguing as they're driving. They're forced to take a detour because the road's blocked off. You know, that's always a good sign. Heather thinks that she sees something in the woods, and then she crashes into a car, and the guy's injured, and so it's our whole group. It's the four kids, not just Barry and Heather, but Sean and Jenny as well. Sean decides to stay by himself with the injured guy because Sean is such a swell guy, and he's dumb as well. So the group, the three of them, decide to go look for help. And as they're going out there, you see Jenny, played by Renee Zellweger, Barry and Heather. They find the offices of this woman, Darla. Darla seems like a nice person, but I'll be completely honest. Even the first time when I saw this movie, I knew not to trust her. I mean, this is the fourth Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie in the series, so you're probably sure not to trust anybody in or around the town that's surrounding this. But okay, fine, maybe not everyone recognized it. She calls her boyfriend, Vilmer, a tow truck guy, so the group stays there to hang out and rest. Vilmer is played by Matthew McConaughey. Once again, before he was famous, very early in his career, he arrives at the accident scene and he just goes over there and breaks the guy's neck who's injured, snaps his neck, which is pretty brutal. And Sean freaks out, starts to run away. Vilmer, of course, runs him over with his truck. So instantly you're thinking to yourself, wait, this is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. This guy isn't Leatherface, and he's not Chop Top or anybody that I recognize, so who the hell is this guy? The trio leaves the office, and a car passes by, so Barry and Heather decide to chase this car down to look for help, to get help, which is dumb on so many levels. These characters are dumb for so many reasons. They're chasing down a car that passed by, and you already think that a tow truck guy is coming to you. You already think that you have the situation taken care of. Obviously you don't, but you think so. So why would you leave Jenny by herself in the woods just to maybe hopefully catch up to this car? It's dumb. They arrive at this farmhouse. I'm talking about Barry and Heather, and Barry's trying to get into the house. Heather just decides to sit there, and Barry's going to go around the back door. Leatherface comes out. Our first appearance of Leatherface. He just kind of meanders out and is behind Heather as she's sitting down, and he's sniffing her hair and being very weird, because I guess Leatherface, his thing now is to be weird. And then he just grabs her. She freaks out when she sees him. He grabs her. He throws her inside the house, puts her into the meat freezer. And then this guy that I assume lives at this house finds Barry, holds him at gunpoint. Barry just says fuck it and goes around him and goes inside the house anyways because he knows something's up. And when he gets in there, he's attacked by Leatherface, of course, beaten up. Heather escapes the freezer, but once again is grabbed by Leatherface and hung on the meat hook. Jenny is walking by herself in the woods because her friends are assholes. And Vilmer, Matthew McConaughey, drives up beside her and offers her a ride. He says he's about to go there too and blah, blah, blah. So she goes in there and they're talking, and it's very quick when Jenny realizes that Vilmer is disturbed, that he's weird, he's fucked up, something a little off about him. And then she turns and sees the dead bodies, including Sean, in the truck. She freaks out. She jumps out the car, which I do like. Jenny is a very likable character and lead female character in this movie, but we'll talk about that. She's running in the woods, running and running. Leatherface just appears once again. He has his chainsaw. He's chasing her. She winds up at the same farmhouse where her friends just were, which makes me think, like, I know this budget was low. I know, I get it. But if you're just using on location sets, couldn't we have found maybe another area that she could have ran to? We really just went to the same house that our previous two characters were at. Okay. She's in there. She's in the house. Leatherface breaks down the door. Jenny jumps out the window, which once again, I like. It reminds me of the female character from Friday the 13th Part 4, who, when she's confronted by Jason in the hallway, she just jumps out the window and says, fuck it. I'd rather die from jumping out this window than to let you get me and do whatever you want with me. So again, Jenny, likable character. She ends up on the roof and she's hanging from the telephone line. Leatherface cuts it though, and then she falls into a greenhouse. A greenhouse, because the Sawyer family is known for their greenhouses. She's not hurt though, somehow, some way. She gets out of there. She's running. Jenny ends up at Darla's office, and Darla, as weird as you might not have thought she was being earlier, again, I did, this is where she reveals herself as she's at least in on it. Okay, fine. And so they attack Jenny. They tie her up. They put her into the trunk of Darla's car. And this is weird. This whole sequence is weird because, sure, you could argue that this family has been doing this for decades now, and so they're cocky. They've gotten away with it. They haven't been caught yet. So why would they be nervous, right? But Darla, with this girl in the trunk, drives to get fast food, or she gets a pizza. And there's a cop there who's talking to her, hitting on her, sees that there might be something in the trunk, and I guess this is just to create tension. And just to get us to think, oh, well, maybe Jenny will be saved. But no, she's not. Darla drives off, and Jenny, when she does try to get away, Darla just starts hitting her with a stick. I think this is supposed to be funny. I think. But they grab her, they end up at the Sawyer house, and that's where we see Vilmer. Matthew McConaughey is at 100. It's not 1 through 10. No, he's at 100. This level of acting and disturbedness. I know that he wasn't famous at the time, and I know that he's probably not nearly as good as the actor as he is today. But the first time I saw this film, I thought, wow, Matthew McConaughey needs to play this character in a better movie one more time. It's just, he's that good, he's that sick, he's that committed. It's impressive to see how screwed up he's playing this character, how unhinged he is, how unpredictable he is, how you feel like he will literally kill Jenny at any moment ever. Like, there's no doubt, if she doesn't get away, if she doesn't get lucky, she will die in the hands of this madman. And it just sucks. It sucks that this performance, that McConaughey is wasted in a film like this. A film that, well, first of all, not a lot of people have seen, let's be honest. It wasn't widely regarded in theaters. It wasn't in theaters all that long. It didn't make a lot of money. It's sort of the bastard child of the Texas Chainsaw series. And so, if you haven't seen it, then you don't know. And if you have seen it, you probably think the movie's so terrible that you forget about McConaughey and just how good he is. You could argue that these scenes go on for too long, and yes, they do, as far as him taunting Jenny and messing with her and fucking with her. And he even hits Darla, who's his girlfriend, and they have a weird, twisted relationship as well. There comes a point where Jenny takes the shotgun, and again, she's being smart, she's being proactive, she's being a fighter. And I like that. Poor Renee Zellweger. This girl, again, before she's famous, she's starting out in her career. A lot of actors and actresses start out in horror movies, it seems like. And she's giving a performance. She is convincing of being terrified. She's convincing of being desperate and scared and trying anything she can to survive. And she does. She tries so hard. The moment where she aims the gun at McConaughey, and he puts the gun in his own mouth, and he's sick and twisted, and you want her to blow his head off. You want her to just do it and get out of there, but she can't. And so they grab her again, and that's where we get our obligatory dinner scene. You can't have a chainsaw movie without your dinner scene. And that's where we see Leatherface dressed in drag. What the fuck? Why is Leatherface wearing women's clothes and wearing lipstick, and he's wearing a female face with a wig? And I get it. I get that this character is technically based on Ed Gein. And I know that Ed Gein killed his mother and wore her skin, wore her clothes. And so that's probably just where they're getting it from, and they just wanted to try something different with Leatherface. I get why, I get where, I just don't like it. And it's not like I'm some guy who's like, no, Leatherface is supposed to be this way. He can't be gay, or he can't be into women's clothes. It's not really about that. It's the fact of the matter of Leatherface is scary as is. The idea of him, the idea that he's a slow, retarded kid that grew up in the wrong family, grew around the wrong influences, and now enjoys killing people, enjoys wearing skin, and is just sick in the head. That's a scary image, and that's one of the things that you think of when you think of Leatherface. This whole drag stuff isn't scary. It's not. Maybe if it was a different character and you could do some Norman Bates-like stuff where he's wearing women's clothes and there's something messed up to it, it was scary in that sense. Leatherface, it's not. It makes him look like a little bitch, first and foremost. and it takes away the scare factor, and it once again tries to make him sympathetic. They did this in the second movie, just not nearly as bad as this. But I don't like it. I don't like how they don't trust Leatherface enough to make him scary. They put all the scare factor on McConaughey, and he clearly grabbed the ball and ran with it. He can pull it off, so sure, fine. But you want to see multiple layers. You want to see more than one scary member of the family. Another scary threat. Leatherface could have been that. He didn't have to be the one calling the shots, but he still could have been a real threat for Jenny. And they try to make it scary by saying that he wants Jenny's face and wants to wear it, but still, it's just a joke. At this point, Leatherface is a big, dumb, cross-dressing joke, and it ruins it. You see corpses of the Sawyer family around the dinner table, and I guess this is kind of sort of creepy, but everything else going on surrounding these scenes, it ruins it. It ruins any creep factor that some of these ideas could have. Jenny fights back once again. There's a struggle. She's trying to get away until these men in business suits show up at the door. This is a flashback to Halloween 5 and 6, where they too had people in black and a cult, and this movie does something very similar. And I don't understand the fascination with horror movies having men in black, having a secret society that's secretly involved with the events going on here. In fact, they say that these are the same men who had JFK killed. Great, because let's just work this into real life true events, because that's what this franchise needed. An Illuminati-like group. Oh, wow. How creative, how original. So this man in black, this one guy in particular, talks down to Vilmer. McConaughey was a character that was, like I said, so scary and so menacing and so unpredictable. To see him be bitched out by this suit guy it demeans the character. What the hell? So the one guy that was scary, the one guy that was unpredictable, the one guy that was really a threat is now a pawn and working for somebody else, and he's slapped around and yelled at by this guy. Wow. Brutal. B-R-oodle. This business guy, he shows off he takes his shirt off and shows his piercings and scars. I guess he's into sadomasochistic activity. Who knows what he does on the weekends. Then he grabs Jenny's face and starts licking her face. What the fuck is going on here? Is this supposed to be something because he wants to rape her? I don't know. I've never been into anything like that in horror movies, even implying it. It's a cheap way to make somebody look unlikable or look sick or look evil. I think there's far better ways she could have done it. Or how about not having the secret society group at all? Vilmer is now pissed off, understandably so. He just got bitched out and now doesn't look as scary as he used to. You find out that Heather, remember Heather? Yes, she didn't die. She was taken by this family and was in this house, just there, I guess, to be eaten eventually. Well, Vilmer crushes her skull and kills her because he's so angry. And then he starts to cut himself, which is a gross thing to look at. And then he finally goes to kill Jenny. He tries to kill her, tries to decapitate her, but she gets out of it. She runs off. Leatherface chases Jenny once again in the woods. At this point, we've seen this like 4 or 5 times. Leatherface chasing her in the woods. It's losing its steam. It's losing its luster. And especially Leatherface in drag is not scary, even with the chainsaw. This RV is driving along the road and she's knocking on it. The old couple in it picks her up, tries to save her. And then they get attacked by Vilmer. He has his truck and he crashes into them. And so they end up dying. Jenny still running, because this is never going to end until this helicopter shows up randomly in the sky, and it gets close enough to where it clips Vilmer out. It kills him. It takes his head off and kills him. How anticlimactic! Once again, McConaughey deserves so much better. His character deserves so much better. If you took this character and gave him his own horror film where he's the lead villain, it's not connected to Texas Chainsaw or Leatherface or anything like that. It's just he's a sick fuck living out in the woods. Maybe you can bring the girlfriend into and he abuses her. Okay, fine, whatever. But she's into it. You could have done that as a movie with Renee Zellweger, and it could have been something special. It would have been something talked about probably. It probably would have made his career. Thankfully, he didn't need it. In fact, when this movie was about to come out and be re-released, he tried. He tried to pay out of his pocket to the studio to get them not to release this film. But they did anyways. Wow. I don't blame him. So after Vilmer dies, the limo shows up and picks Jenny up. It's the same guys in black that we just saw earlier, but this time they promise not to do anything to her. Why? Why aren't you going to do anything to her? You just was going to let her die in that house, so you clearly don't care if she lives or dies. Why did you save her now? None of this makes any sense. The guy starts going off on how this was a spiritual experience. It's supposed to change her life. It's supposed to, if you put a human being into a tragic situation or a horrifying situation and they come out the other side, it's supposed to do this. And like, what the fuck are you talking about? So this was all just an experiment? So that's what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies have been? Even the original was this secret group who was just allowing for this to happen and helping the family? No! It ruins and undoes everything that was scary about that original movie. Damn! Damn, damn, damn. Screw you, Kim! I know you co-wrote the original, but this was horrible. Everything about this is horrible. Jenny goes to the hospital, and as she's being questioned by the police officer, actors from the original movie, by the way, are in this one, including the cop. But then Jenny sees something. She sees something, and it almost puts her in a trance. She's staring at it. She's not even listening to the cop. She sees Sally, the actress from the original movie, is at this hospital, and she's on this stretcher being wheeled down the hallway. And wow. So I guess that's the fate of Sally. She just ended up crazy at this hospital. I'm not saying this is the most illogical thing ever, because Sally was laughing maniacally as she was in the back of that truck, and it's not a stretch to think that her character would go crazy after this. I just think it's really sad to see that that's what's to come of her, that she never got out of it. I think we could have had a movie, this movie even, where we got the actress to come back. So how about, fine, maybe she meets her at the hospital halfway through the movie, but then Sally comes out of this and chooses to be a fighter, chooses to fight back at Leatherface, and helps Jenny fight them off. We could have done something here, but no, we just get a 1 minute cameo, if that, of the character, of the actress. And then we cut back to McConaughey's dead body, and Leatherface sees it and starts screaming and does his chainsaw dance, which isn't nearly as iconic or scary because he's in drag. And I think they're trying to have us once again have sympathy for him. Fuck this movie, man. There's almost nothing good about the film other than McConaughey and other than Renee Zellweger, who even before their time, their real time, they were good actors and they committed to a film that didn't deserve their performance. It didn't deserve what they gave to this. This movie sucks. This movie's horrible. I doubt even the original cut was any better. I'm sure this is one of. Is it the worst Chainsaw film? Maybe that's something that you guys can answer. Is The Next Generation the worst chainsaw movie in the series. I don't think so, though. I still think there's a couple more that are worse. We'll talk about that, though. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.
Souls taken over by a devilish path. You got me walking on broken glass. Kicking down the door with a Jason mask. With a deck dome machete, but you motherfuckers know it's heavy. Anytime you're ready, you can get you with a Bowie. Setting up to blow me, but the bitch don't know me. Who's going? I'm going, you